Hello, my name's Alex Watson, and I'm the major assigned to the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department's Criminal Investigations Bureau. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department remains committed to transparency and community trust, especially in the wake of critical incidents. Following the officer-involved shooting that occurred on December 16, 2023, involving Sanrico McGill, CMPD prepared to release a critical incident briefing, CIB, a practice we have followed in recent high-profile cases. These briefings provide important context and analysis to help the public better understand complex incidents as well as a timeline of events. However, in this case, the court granted the Charlotte Observer's petition for the release of the body-worn camera footage, but denied CMPD's request for a mutual release. As a result, CMPD is unable to release any body-worn camera videos publicly or the full critical incident briefing, which includes key details, timeline, and professional analysis surrounding the incident. We respect the court's decision, but we believe it is in the public's best interest to have access to not only the raw video, but also the full context and facts surrounding these events. This is especially important in matters involving mental health and public safety.
Hello, my name is Crystal Fletcher. I am a lieutenant in the Public Affairs Division at the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. On Saturday, December 16, 2023, at approximately 6:13 a.m., CMPD received a call for service in reference to someone shooting a firearm. The caller stated that she heard 5 shots and was concerned that it may have been her son shooting, Sanrico McGill. She also gave the specific address to where her son lived, which was entered into the call for service. The 911 caller told the dispatcher that officers had been out with her son before and that she had recently took out involuntary commitment paperwork for him to get treatment, but the paperwork had not yet been served.
The caller advised she's concerned it might have been her son shooting, reference having psychosis issues, but couldn't confirm. The shots were coming from outside the apartment building. She's also advising she's unsure if the son was at home or if he was walking to the Marathon gas station.
An involuntary commitment order is an order issued by the clerk of superior court or a magistrate directing a law enforcement officer to immediately transport a person to a directed facility for examination by a physician or eligible psychologist. The 911 caller advised during her conversation with the CMPD dispatcher that she had recently saw an IVC for Mr. McGill. However, officers never received the IVC paperwork. Metro Division officers responded to the address given by the 911 caller. This is a densely populated residential area. Some of the officers dispatched to this call had been on other calls for service with this individual and knew of him. A call history of this address showed that officers had been out with the caller and her son over 10 times in the last 5 years. One of the first officers to arrive on scene, Officer Jared Gardner, heard 2 gunshots as he exited his patrol vehicle. He could also see a man holding a firearm inside the address given by the 911 caller. Officer Gardner relayed this information to dispatch and other officers en route to this location.
We just had a couple more shots right out here. Go ahead and start some units. Hey, there's going to be a person in 1515 unit who 1094 in his hand.
2 of Mr. McGill's family members came out of another apartment and spoke to officers. Officers asked them to stay inside. However, one of the family members did not adhere to officers' request. At this time, officers began to use the public address system in the police vehicle to ask Mr. McGill to come out of the residence and talk to them. During this incident, several commands were given to Mr. McGill to include come out to talk to us, come out with empty hands, and come out with your hands up. These commands were given by several different officers on scene in an attempt to de-escalate the situation. However, Mr. McGill did not comply. Several commands were also given to the family member that stayed outside to come talk to police. However, he did not comply either. Mr. McGill stepped out of the residence for a moment and began yelling and appeared very agitated at his family members before he went back inside the home. A few seconds later, Mr. McGill stepped back outside the residence holding a Taurus G2C 9mm handgun. Officers gave commands for him to drop the weapon, but he racked it instead and then raised it toward his family member and officers positioned in front of the residence. 4 different officers perceived an imminent deadly threat and fired their service weapons at Mr. McGill, striking him twice, once in the lower right hip and once in the left chest. Mr. McGill then fell and crawled back inside the residence. After Mr. McGill crawled inside the residence, officers could no longer see where he went. They gave repeated verbal commands for him to come back out of the residence so that the Charlotte Fire Department and medic could address his injuries. CMPD officers used a drone to do an initial sweep of the house before sending in officers to clear the residence and assist Mr. McGill. Once officers were able to go inside the residence, it was found that Mr. McGill had succumbed to his injuries. The North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation led this officer-involved shooting investigation and ruled this a justifiable homicide. The Mecklenburg County District Attorney's Office reviewed the case and determined no charges were necessary. CMPD Internal Affairs also conducted a parallel investigation to determine if the shooting was within CMPD policy. The use of deadly force for law enforcement officers in North Carolina is governed by North Carolina General Statute 15A-401D2, which states, "A law enforcement officer is justified in using deadly physical force upon another person when it is or appears to be reasonably necessary to defend himself or a third person from what he reasonably believes to be the use or imminent use of deadly physical force."
We understand the growing impact of mental health issues within our community and the urgent need for resources. The December 16th incident underscores how critical it is for our partners at the county and state levels to invest meaningfully in accessible mental health services. Officers are often placed in incredibly difficult situations where advanced care and intervention are desperately needed long before police are called to respond. CMPD will continue to uphold our duty to serve with integrity and transparency. We remain focused on ensuring the safety and well-being of all members of our community. We appreciate your understanding as we continue to operate within the legal parameters established by the court. Thank you.